Good morning, Harris W. Gilbert of the law offices of Gilbert and Smallman. The W comes from my grandfather and my grandmother. My grandmother's maiden name was Wise. My grandparents gave my father his middle name as W. My father then gave me my middle name of W. And then I have bestowed upon one of my daughters a W, but it's not an initial. Her name is Riley Wonder Gilbert. My other daughter, her name is Samara Jordan Gilbert. I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm a huge basketball fan. Michael Jordan is one of my favorite basketball players of all time. Around the time my first daughter was being born in 2012, I lived in a building in downtown Miami. There was 3 cars parked next to mine with Illinois plates, and I had no idea whose they were. Was it Dwayne Wade? Was it someone who was this rich business person from Illinois? It was like a beautiful Mercedes, another big Range Rover, another big Mercedes. So one day I come home from work and I see the white Mercedes pull into the spot, and someone gets out of the car. It's Michael Jordan. I get an elevator ride with Michael Jordan. I'm just like, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan, Michael, and just trying to do my best to compose myself for those few seconds. I told him, you're the greatest of all time. I didn't get a picture, I didn't get an autograph. I did my best to try and connect with Michael Jordan. And what became one elevator ride became probably 30, 40 elevator rides over the course of the next 12 to 18 months during the time my daughter was being born. So she has been bestowed with the middle name Jordan in honor of Michael Jordan. She's been given the middle name of a champion, a 6-time champion, the greatest of all time. So now I'm going to step aside from that short little soliloquy. I am a civil litigator. What does that mean? I'm essentially a trial lawyer that deals with civil claims. What are civil claims? Well, we have businesses that get in disputes. We have real estate deals that get in disputes. We have people just over any sort of money transactions that get in disputes. And we also have probate, which is when someone inherits or someone dies and has to pass on an inheritance through a will or a trust or an estate, and the family members oftentimes get into disputes. So I consider myself a problem solver more than anything else. Now, I don't do this alone, and I think that's the beauty of my law firm. It's Gilbert and Smallman. Smallman is someone who I met at the University of Florida in 1996. We were in the same dorm, we were in the same fraternity, we lived together, we worked together at the public defender's office, we sat at the same table trying cases successfully for 3 years, learning how to be trial lawyers at the public defender's office, and then we started our law firm together in 2006. It's 2022. I still have trouble understanding the gravity of how long I've been in business with Mr. Smallman. Now, there's another component to my law firm, and it's Mr. Tables, Tables Law Group. So about 7 years ago, our firm made a big transition into the civil field. Mr. Tables and his Tables Law Group is a backbone of our transition into that. He is a born and bred civil litigator. I myself, I'm a public defender. I worked for insurance defense for a few months, and then we started our law firm. And we transitioned into civil and probate law because we saw the opportunity to diversify our law firm. And through the Tables Law Group, who is our of counsel, and we're of counsel to him, that is how we structure our civil and probate litigation. So we have 3 law partners in every civil case, and we go over our cases together, we brainstorm our cases together. At Gilbert and Smallman, we have an associate, Philip Thomas. At Tables Law Group, we have Patty Martinez. She's passed the bar, she's waiting for her bar. We also have Andrew Drucker. My office also has 2 people that work at the front. So we have a whole team. We have a very team-based approach to problem solving in civil litigation. Now, a lot of times, what David said is, people call up law firms and they don't get in touch with the lawyer. Well, every one of my clients has access to me for better or worse. You can text me, you can call me, you can email me. If it's Friday night, I want you to text me or call me, and I want to have that 2-minute phone conversation with you on Friday night instead of you rolling around in your bed for 48 hours and waiting for Monday morning to call me. I want to have the tough conversations with my clients and address the problems and issues that they're having so we can overcome them. And I spoke about this earlier in my moment about problem solving. And I think what really separates my law firm is that we problem solve. And I think that at the end of the day, we do it together. And we also are very good about how we treat our clients with our fees. We have 16, 17 years in private practice, 20 years almost as lawyers. A lot of lawyers in our time charge well in excess of what we charge per hour. But we do it purposefully because the people that we represent are generally individuals, small businesses, or family members in disputes. These people generally can't afford $550, $600 an hour. We charge, in general, $350 an hour. Now, that sounds like a lot of money, and it is, but when you compare it to $550, $600 an hour, and lawyers start working on your case for 10, 20, 30 hours over the course of months and years, it adds up. So we want to help people, we want to do it at a reasonable rate, and at the end of the day, if I go out there, I have a level playing field, and that's one of the great things I love about litigation. The courtroom, the mediation field, they don't ask you where you went to law school. They don't ask you what your GPA was. They don't ask you how much you bill an hour. They just ask you to argue the points for your clients. So we go toe to toe with these lawyers that bill $550, $600, $750, $1,000 an hour, and we win. And we don't always win. No one always wins. And also, what defines a win is very subjective. A lot of times a win can be a settlement. Even times it can be your client paying someone money, but they're paying a lot less. You're cutting their risk. You're not exposing them to a giant amount of risk. And I think that I, in particular, love negotiating. It's just something that I've always done since I was young. My father was a jeweler. I was raised in Baltimore, Maryland. I was in his back of his jewelry store changing watch batteries at age 9, 10 for $5 or $10. And I watched him in front of the shop and my grandfather work together to sell jewelry. And I just learned at a very young age how important it is to connect with people, interact with people. As much as we're lawyers and we argue the law, we're also in sales and we're in customer service. And a lot of lawyers don't get that. They may think that the law is just what it's all about, but we're running business. And if you don't treat your customers right, your business is going to fail. So what I'm looking for are really individuals, families, small businesses that are in disputes. And what I ask of you is active listening. And what does that mean? It means when you're at the coffee shop, when you're on the phone call with your client, when you're around the office and you hear someone start to talk about a tough situation that's going on, it doesn't just go inside one ear and out the other, okay? Somewhere in the middle it processes. What are they saying? And how can I connect this person with someone to help them? And if you think it's something that fits me, I want you to connect me. And you can do it through my cell phone. You can get me on the phone with them. I'm readily accessible. So our tagline is, we don't run from bullies. And it comes from the movie A Civil Action, where there was a lawyer, John Schlickman, who went up against the big bad law firms and defended claims for, actually it was a personal injury case, but I've adopted it into us, and I feel it's very applicable. And it really comes down to when you're in that courtroom and someone's trying to be tough, or when you're on the phone, and I've had some crazy phone conversations, you know, you pick up the phone to introduce yourself and someone uses an expletive, and you haven't even met them. How do you handle yourself? That's someone that's trying to exercise their control over you. How are you going to react? My theory in general is to ignore the noise, and I have 3 different things that I like to use: calm, confidence, and control. So try and remember those 3 C's: calm, confidence, and control when you're trying to deal with any sort of situation or negotiation. And I found it to be very successful. So thank you for giving me this time. It's been 10 minutes on the dot. I nailed it. And I have a few gifts to give away. So here we go.
Hold on 1 second.